the Israeli army is simultaneously fighting Hamas in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah on the southern Lebanese border lines. As if Hamas attacks were not enough, the temperature of the war has increased considerably in recent days, with Hezbollah's activities in the southern Lebanese directions. Hezbollah fired 20 rockets from Lebanese territory towards the Upper Galilee region in the north. It was reported that 15 of them landed in open areas near the town of Kiryat Shmona. An anti-tank missile was also fired at the Dove mountain area on the border. Fortunately, no Israeli civilians were injured in these attacks. The IDF, for its part, responded to these bombardments with a fierce artillery barrage of its own. It is reported that up to 50 artillery shells were fired. In addition, near the border with South Lebanon, the huge Israeli army of around 100,000 men was on constant alert for Hezbollah infiltration attempts. Dozens of armored vehicles of the Israeli army reportedly participated in these activities, but the IDF's measures and actions against Hezbollah rocket attacks have not been limited to these. Following the most recent attacks, it was announced that the IDF is once again mobilizing against Hezbollah in the direction of southern Lebanon. 4 IDF F-16 fighter jets allegedly took off to strike the southern Lebanese border lines. The IDF later provided official evidence of this. The IDF released footage showing a massive explosion following an Israeli Air Force airstrike on a Hezbollah weapons depot in southern Lebanon. Among the targets destroyed were several Hezbollah shipments and systems containing technological assets. The airstrike came in response to rocket fire on northern Israel. In addition to this critical strike, on the same day, the IDF announced that it had hit a unit preparing to carry out an attack near the Biranit camp in southern Lebanon. This strike operation destroyed numerous resources, including Hezbollah's tunnel infrastructure in the Biranit camp. The destruction of numerous tunnel shafts in these dramatic IDF airstrikes was significant. Hezbollah tunnels filled with explosives are one of the threats and surprises to be expected in clashes between Hezbollah and the IDF. By destroying these tunnel shafts, the IDF ensured that Hezbollah was unable to even raise its head under heavy fire. Hezbollah militants have been trapped in these tunnel shafts after the IDF's recent airstrikes. The tunnel networks were one of Hezbollah's biggest trump cards. According to the researchers' work, they include firing positions, operations centers, connecting tunnels, medical facilities, stockpiles of weapons and ammunition, ventilation and air conditioning, bathrooms and dormitories with hot and cold running water, all with roofs made of reinforced concrete slabs almost 1 meter thick. Lebanon's land of tunnels is another layer of Hezbollah's underground infrastructure, which includes attack tunnels, infrastructure tunnels, and strategic tunnels. The use of explosive-filled tunnels is less well recognized. These tunnels are filled with explosives that run underneath a community, security facility, or geographical location where an explosion could harm the enemy. The tunnels are filled with tons of explosives and are sealed and activated at a specific moment. Therefore, the use of Hezbollah's tunnels has the potential to cause serious damage. Because of their power to create chaos and their underground location, the explosive charges in such tunnels, unlike bombs or air-dropped missiles, have the effect of earthquakes rather than bombs and can therefore destroy an entire community or facility. Because these tunnels are sealed and there is no movement inside them, it is more difficult for sensors to detect their presence. But the IDF is also using artificial intelligence robots, high-tech drones, and other military equipment along the southern Lebanese border lines to detect and destroy Hezbollah's tunnel infrastructure. The Israeli army has fiber optic cables and ground-penetrating radars that allow its soldiers to detect underground digging activities along the border. The Israeli army also has sound systems that allow soldiers to detect suspicious noises underground. IDF Air Force bombing raids are also effective in destroying Hezbollah's tunnel infrastructure on the Lebanese border. This is because, as we have mentioned, Hezbollah has explosive devices inside the tunnels. Sometimes there is no need to dig directly under the target, and the explosives can be buried under the near area of the target. the force of the explosion blows up the target as well as the soil and rocks near the target. The effect of such an explosion is similar to a soil and rock tsunami. With proper planning, such an explosion can cover a building, a military base, or an entire population with a thick layer of soil, effectively burying everyone underneath. For example, an explosion under the Ramim Ridge overlooking the city of Kiryat Shmona could collapse parts of the mountain, endangering citizens and their homes. Hezbollah may also be waiting for such chaos. There is much speculation, especially about the intentions of the Radwan unit of Hezbollah, to cross the border barrier and invade the Galilee. However, the discovery by the IDF of the tunnels intended to be used by the Radwan unit in its mission to invade the Galilee has caused Hezbollah to rethink its strategy. Hezbollah could therefore consider physically reaching the Israeli border wall from above ground and planting explosives there in order to minimize the risk of premature exposure of operational power. From a tactical point of view, it makes little sense to damage and demolish the wall by filling an existing tunnel underneath it with explosives or by using a new tunnel underneath it with hidden explosives. The IDF has already taken precautions against such activities on the border with southern Lebanon, and many settlements in northern Israel have already been evacuated. So in the event of an explosion, there will be no casualties, which is the goal of Hezbollah. As you can see, in addition to Hamas, Israel is indeed dealing with the threat of a militia like Hezbollah along the southern Lebanese border lines. Hamas's tunnel lines from the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah's tunnel lines from southern Lebanon into Israel are in fact the only thing preventing the IDF forces from winning this war very quickly. Military observers and experts believe that both Hezbollah and Hamas could never have won this war without their underground tunnel infrastructure. Hezbollah, like Hamas, built these tunnel networks before this critical war against Israel. Hamas's tunnel infrastructures were also built before the war and were also used for smuggling. In short, Israel is waging a decisive war against Iranian-backed proxies who come cowardly from underground tunnels. Even if Hamas and Hezbollah are trying to get to the surface, use the tunnels, the Israeli army currently holds the advantage in the war, both in the Gaza Strip and in southern Lebanon. So Israel is ahead on both fronts, even as it advances from the ground.